Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another round of these Funville Dinos Unleashed figures. We've got ourselves the other two in this lineup, which is the Tyrannosaurus Rex and the Spinosaurus. Now, I have reviewed both of these figures in the past as far as the previous color variants. Each of these figures mark the third color variant that was released of these, and I unfortunately only had the first version of this. Actually, it might have been the second, technically. I may have missed the first. I don't know exactly what ones came out at what time, but I do know that at least these are the newest variants that have come out for these figures. And you can see they look super cool, just like they looked last time. I'm actually a pretty big fan of the Funville line, and they're really neat-looking dinosaur figures. I wish they would release more figures more often, because I feel like they just have so much potential. But you can see the box art is pretty much the same as we had previously. Definitely the same as what we had seen in the first review, which featured the Triceratops and Velociraptor. And you can see we have a very kind of like, Mattel Jurassic World-like look to these, where we have like the open area and stuff for the figures to shine. And then here on the back of the box, not only can you see what species are in this line, again, as we have 4 different species, you're actually looking at the older color variants, the ones that I did not get a hold of, because we have a gray version of the T-Rex and we had a green version of the Spinosaurus. The ones that I did have were actually a reddish version of the T-Rex and a bluish version of the Spinosaurus. So that gives you an idea as far as all the different color variants that are out for these. But also, if you are interested in checking out the previous releases of these, make sure you check out my playlist here on the channel of the Funville Dinos Unleashed figures. So let's go ahead and pop these boxes open and check out the newest versions of these figures. So here is our Spinosaurus. I'm using one hand to do this, and now I just messed the legs all up. So there we go. We've got the Spino in there, and we've also got the T-Rex, because I was holding the T-Rex with the other hand and wanted to bring it in right after the Spino. Let's readjust the camera a little bit to get more in line with them. But you can see they look really cool. I'm actually a pretty darn big fan of the coloration of the Spinosaurus specifically. I really do like the colors of the Rex. I love greens on Tyrannosaurus, but the Spino almost just caught me off guard here for a minute there, because I wasn't prepared for it to look as nice as it does. Like, I really like the way the blues play off of the brownish tone there for the body. But they definitely look really fun, so as always, let's jump to a closer look at them and check them out from there. So when it comes to the T-Rex, you can see the T-Rex sports, again, a really nice greenish color scheme. I almost said brown. That's the Spino that has the brown. But the T-Rex has a really nice greenish color scheme, and I really quite like the tones of green on this one. I think they look very, very nice, very naturalistic. You can also see a darker variation of color that sort of circles around the eye there. We've got a yellow eye and a black pupil as well. And again, the same thing over here. I do like the fact that we just have that little extra variation of color here for the face of the T-Rex. Again, the sculpt and detail is the same as the previously released version, so you're not going to find any massive difference or anything between this and the older one, so I won't go over the sculpt or anything. Again, I've already done that with the first review. We're just going to take a look at what's different, which again is the paint apps. Of course, we have an articulated jaw for the T-Rex. You can see the teeth are painted with kind of like a light yellowish tone, it looks like. Same deal for the lower jaw, and you can also see a nice light purplish tone for the inside of the mouth, and everything sports a really nice gloss coat, so it shines quite nicely, quite realistically. Very nicely done as far as that aspect goes. Once you start to lead down through the course of the body, you begin to pick up a little patterning here running along the back of the body. There's a very interesting patterning here moving along the course of the back, almost kind of similar to the patterns that we saw on the Velociraptor, sort of. But we have a darker variation of green that, highlights that patterning here on the back, and you can see it starts there in the mid-neck area and then runs out here, but disappears before we reach the tail. We don't have any other color variation as you move through. You can see that we don't have painted nails, which is something I would love to see for these figures in the future. I would definitely love to see Funville start to paint the nails on them. But again, outside of that, everything else seems to be all just that same green tone, that same solid green tone of color, which is actually pretty common when it comes to the paint apps of these figures. But it definitely is a really neat looking T-Rex, definitely another fun version of this figure. And then we've also got the Spinosaurus. Now the Spinosaurus, you can see, has a brownish tone for the majority of the body, but up here in the face, one thing straight away I really like are the green eyes. I think the green eyes really pop very nicely and definitely play off of the brownish tone there for the body color of the Spinosaurus. They also have a very nice gloss coat. You can see those shining really nicely. But then we've got some bluish tones here, kind of designing and patterning here along the snout of the Spinosaurus, which definitely again plays off of those brownish tones very nicely. Just like with the T-Rex, we do have an articulated jaw. You can see the teeth are painted with a sort of like an off-white, almost heading toward a light, very, very light sort of khaki or brown, but maybe a little closer to an off-white. There is a little hint of sloppiness to the teeth there, but not too bad. But you can see all of the teeth are sculpted individually and everything. You can see the same coloration for the lower jaw here as far as the teeth go. And there is a pinkish tone there for the inside of the mouth on the tongue. And same deal there for the inside of the mouth on the upper side. My thumb's kind of getting in the way, but it also has a nice gloss coat, which you can see shining right there on the tongue. And again, the same thing that you're going to see over here, same style of coloration and paintwork. As you move down into the back of the Spinosaurus, we do have some more of that light blue kind of striping and designing down here along the back, but as you lead up into the sail of the Spinosaurus, you have a very dark blue, but more of those light blues sort of applied there, and you can see how they kind of pattern and design. There's actually a few different variations of blue. I can actually see a light blue, but then there's a different variation of blue that sort of outlines and follows along with those really light blues. You can kind of see the same thing down here, so a little extra color variation as far as that goes. But again, just like with the T-Rex, we don't have painted nails or anything, no other color variation moving out there into the tail. But I think, again, it's a pretty cool looking version. This actually might be my favorite version of the Spinosaurus to come so far. As far as articulation goes for the figures, again, as I said, we have the articulated jaw, which is part of the action feature. You also have the arm, which can go all the way back in a nice natural position or go all the way up. You can actually keep going with it, so we've got quite a bit of range of mobility there for the arms. The legs do articulate. You can kind of see how they'll articulate together, but should say individually, but they also kind of want to go together, and that's because the action feature is a part of the legs and the way that they move. So we'll go ahead and turn the Rex. There's no tail articulation. It kind of looks like there would be, but there actually is not any tail articulation or anything like that. We'll go ahead and turn the Rex, and then we'll get an idea of the action feature and sounds for this one. So as you can very, very clearly hear, we've got ourselves a little Jurassic Park Rexy for the noises, but you can also see again that the action feature is basically the T-Rex opening the mouth, letting that roar go. Very Jurassic Park-ish as far as that goes as well. Pretty much like the action feature that you see kind of replicates the T-Rex once it breaks out of the paddock in Jurassic Park as it comes out. And it lets out that really cool roar. That is really, really cool. Definitely a big fan of that. Then we have the Spinosaurus. The Spinosaurus, again, has an articulated jaw. It's hard to get a hold of at times. There we go. Sorry, I had to go out of screen there for a moment, but you can see the jaw articulates, but that also is part of the action feature. The arm is what activates the action feature, so we're not going to mess with that quite yet, but you do have the legs. The legs can go pretty far back, and about that far forward as far as that leg goes. This leg can go about that far forward, and really quite far back. I feel like that one could go all the way up to there. And we also have the articulation here of this arm. So this arm on this side does articulate pretty nicely. And it can go all the way back, actually totally swivel around if you want it to. Again, no tail articulation, but the action feature is operated with the arm this time around. So basically you have to lift the arm up. And as you can see, the Spino snaps. We'll do that again without me talking over it. I actually really like those noises. I like the squeakiness, almost a Godzilla roar sort of thing going on there. But then at the end, it kind of sounds like the Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus. So I really do quite like that. And again, the figures balance really nice, stand really nice. The articulation's really smooth. So the same situation that we had previously. Again, Funville really hammering out some very nice figures. So these brand new variants of the Funville Dinos Unleashed T-Rex and Spinosaurus are yet again two really cool figures, two really fun ones that I'm very happy to add to my collection. If I could only find the first two variants of this and get those in my collection, but overall, again, they are very, very nice figures. I felt like we didn't really need any more comparisons or anything because, again, we've already done that with the first reviews. If you want to see comparisons or a more detailed look at the sculpt, make sure you check the first reviews again on the playlist I have here on the channel for Funville and see all the other figures that I've already reviewed from them. But the sculpts are very nice and very highly detailed throughout, which I really quite like. And again, they look very impressive, which is why I really want to see Funville create more and more species of dinosaur. We've had the same few species a few times now, so I would love to see them actually introduce a few new species to the line because they just have so much potential, and I would really like to see them kind of expand when it comes to their, dinosaur species. But the T-Rex and Spino here do look really nice. I think the T-Rex coloration looks great, and a really nice green that they've chosen for it. Very appealing to the eye, but very naturalistic as, at the same time. And I also quite like the coloration around the eye. Just that little extra color there reminds me again of almost like a Jurassic Park sort of T-Rex. You've also got some nice patterning moving down the back. Something that could always improve these figures would be nail paint, but even without it, I still think they look quite nice. And then you've got the Spino. The Spino has that really cool brown, but those beautiful blues play off of it so nicely, and that green eye just pops really beautifully on that Spinosaurus. And again, in my opinion, I would say that Spinosaurus is my favorite one to come so far. I think I like it better than the one that I was unable to get hold of, which would be the green one, and I definitely like it better than the bluish one that I do have in my collection. So I definitely have to give them props on, giving us the best, in my opinion anyway, the best version of their Spinosaurus so far this time around. So as a whole, you've got some really nicely sculpted figures, some, pretty nicely painted figures, some pretty nice articulation, you've got action features, and you've also got some sounds for the figures. So overall, recommend picking these figures up. They are definitely some fun ones to add to your collection. And if you are interested in doing that, my suggestion is to head to your local Dollar General, because that's the only store I know of personally here in the United States that sells these. Outside of the United States, I'm not too sure. I would love to find out. If any of you, are from outside of the United States watching this review, let me know in the comment section where you might be able to find these so I can mention that in future videos. Again, would be nice to have that information. But again, if you are in the United States, make sure you check your local Dollar General, grab yourself some Funville Dinos Unleashed figures, and also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.